Welcome to another episode of HCP Visits. Here's your host, Woody Watts.
Hello everyone, this is Woody Watts. And for this episode, I thought I would mix it up a tad bit because recently I was interviewed on an online radio talk show called the Paranormal Junkyard. And in that interview, we covered a lot. We kind of covered the start of the group. We touched a bit on my approach and my beliefs. And I thought it would be a great episode because there was some information in there that they the questions they asked kind of led down a good road. So instead of repeating myself, I asked them for permission to use that interview, and they were awesome and said, of course. So folks, this is that interview with Paranormal Junkyard. You can find a link to their website on our website at hillcityparanormal.com. If you click on links and media, you'll see up the top, Paranormal Junkyard. Click on that, listen to them. They're awesome. But here's the interview and enjoy.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be around the world. You're listening to the Paranormal Junkyard with James and Jamie on Sunday, January 5th, 2019. And tonight we have a special guest with us. His name is Woody Watts, and he is with Hill City Paranormal. How are you doing tonight, Woody?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's awesome to have you. Where is your investigation team located, and can you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
I can. We are located basically in the middle of Virginia. All right, so we're surrounded by the Blue Ridge Mountains, and we're a few hours from the coast, so we've got a good location right in the middle. We live in a small town called Lynchburg, but Lynchburg is like the city of this area, but I mean it's surrounded by rural areas where we do a lot of our investigations, and we get a lot of paranormal is kind of misleading for our name. We do get a lot of calls for that, but I mean we also get calls for Bigfoot sightings and UFO sightings. So we have branched out and we do it all. So we have a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that you did all different kinds, including Bigfoots and UFOs. Now that puts my whole question set to a whole different level.
Well, it's funny because my experience of getting into the investigation part really started with UFOs. That's where it started for me. And so, I mean, me and my father, we would ride around with a video camera. I mean, honestly, as far back as I remember, I know I was early teens with one of those mini DV cameras. And we would ride around the country and film and go out in the woods and I mean, it was really exploring and investigations. And then I actually had a UFO sighting. And then from there, I was just hooked. So, and then you meet people with other experiences and you just start to talk and you respect everybody's experiences, even if you have not had one yourself. And then you just kind of morph into a group and here we are.
Wow. So how many team members do you have with your group?
We have 3 steady ones, 3 that basically go everywhere. But I would say total, I mean, we're pretty lean, like 5 or 6. But for example, my father and I are dedicated on it. And my neighbor, Jeremy, he's on there, and you'll see him in a lot of the videos. But my wife and my mother, my sister, and some friends, they all join us. Just depends on the investigation. I know for us, like I said, there's certain people that are in our group that have had different experiences, and some of them are quite intense experiences, so they steer clear of some areas, and some of us don't. So we might have an investigation that goes to a super creepy house, and we might have some people that hang back just because that's not their thing, so it just kind of rotates. But we usually try to keep the 3 because my dad, for example, he has grown up in this area, his whole life. So, and I mean, I have too, but, he's been around. His father lived here. So he's kind of the local historian for us. So we kind of consult him with the the map, the geology, everything like that. And he kind of gives us a background on the families. But yeah, I mean, so I would say comfortably 5, 6. And then honestly, if somebody else wants to come, we really always kind of like having people tag along.
Yeah, I haven't tagged along with anyone like that. It's me and my fiance. We go out and we go to different locations, and sometimes there's different locations that have scared us. Whether it be like an abandoned building, that is ran down. I mean, it's not just with the paranormal that you have to worry about. Do you run into a lot of places that you could possibly put your own life at risk?
Yeah, that's actually and that's one of the fun things about this group that I like that we do. Like I said, we do all investigations or just explore. You can call it explorers if you want to. So, like, I mean, you're talking about the Bigfoot sighting. Usually, that's not in a town. That's in the middle of the woods. So we try to go as prepared as we can. And one particular one, I know the latest one, which is one of our latest videos, was in an abandoned house. And that one, I would say the only thing about that logistically scared me was one, it's like an hour away from civilization. It's really close to a back road, okay, like a side road, like if the house was butting up right against the road.
Yeah.
And people, they never expect other people on that road. So every time we were out filming or talking, I mean, there were like trucks and cars just flying by. You would take one step and you were on the porch or the road. And so that one was a little, it just kind of got me a little bit because I was worried that one of us would step out in the road, the Bigfoot stuff out in the middle of the woods that we've hiked up. It was actually to a family cemetery of mine. That was, I know it's 100 plus years out in the middle of nowhere. Again, no road going to it. The only way you would know it is that the family knows where it's at. So it took us a couple hours to hike, and then we decided, I don't know whether you call it stupid or being adventurous, but we decided to just kind of camp out at the cemetery. And then we started hearing noises. And so we called it a night, but little did we know a tornado had come through the area like months before and completely changed the landscape. So my father, who knew it before, we got lost. And it ended up turning into like a 6-hour hike in the middle of the night, pitch black. And so, yeah, it can get kind of scary. And not just from the actual paranormal Bigfoot or anything else, just from like, man, I might fall in a lake and nobody would ever find me, so.
Oh, yeah. So, what kind of evidence have you collected with Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, skunk ape, in Ohio they call him grassman? What kind of, have you gathered hair samples? What kind of?
God, I wish. On the Bigfoot topic, where my parents have lived, and then his parents lived there, and his great grandpa. So it's been a generational area, and it's really far out. It's right at the foot of the Blue Ridge Mountains, so it's right, in the middle of the forest, basically. And they quite often, and this is like firsthand experience from my family. So it's, I know it's not being passed around, and they hear noises quite often, and that's about the most concrete. Well, I don't know if concrete's the right word, but that's a pretty strong, the strongest evidence I could do for Bigfoot is the noises. We've never found hair. I wish we had, or footprints, but there have been others in the area that have had eyewitness, accounts, and they're pretty. They're reputable people. They're not. They're not known to start these things, and we know them and we know their families. That's why we love doing it in our area, because we really know people, and we know that people are yanking our chain or trying to, just have fun. But for the most part, the people that we talk to, they had an account. I know specifically one of them took place. I think it was what was it, 6 years ago was a pretty recent one, where they saw him on the side of the road. But I mean, again, no evidence I can hand you and say, hey, look, I've got hair. But that's why what my team does, and where just a little bit of our method is that I try to focus on video evidence. Okay. Because I actually own a video production company where we do local commercials and, TV ads in this area. So I have video equipment that just sits around for the most part. So for me, that's my pull to it. For the group, it's always important, get the stories, talk to people and get those documented. But so we really try to rely on, night vision GoPros mounted everywhere, motion sensors. I approach it from more of a technical video standpoint than I believe people, don't get me wrong, but right. I'm a techie. So I try to go into every investigation okay, I got to catch something. And if I don't catch something, I'm not satisfied. So that's usually my approach.
Okay. So whenever you're talking with the eyewitnesses, what kinds of stories do they tell? I mean, is it just like a glance at them, or have they been approached by them, or is it just sounds that they hear out in the woods?
All right. So, as far as Sasquatch, the most common one is the sounds. And I've actually heard the sounds, and they really do. They just give you chills all over. And this was the one we did where we were at the cemetery, and we went into it for a cemetery investigation. So we set up, I think there's two or three night vision cameras in the woods around it, because the reason we were up there was because my parents and family had heard noises from that hill, and no one lives on that hill across the lake. So we were like, all right, and they called me. They're like, hey, we know you do the paranormal stuff. You want to come up, have dinner with us, and then, kind of stay the night up there and do your thing? Oh, yeah, let's do it. And so we set up the cameras and didn't really see or didn't get any feeling paranormal-wise. It's like we didn't have any feeling about that. But, it was a couple hours into being dark where my father and I, we had my niece and his granddaughter with us. And we started hearing these noises far away, and we didn't know what it was. We had no clue. And granted, we've grown up there, and kept hearing it, kept getting closer and closer, and it got to the point where it felt uncomfortable, Yeah. So that's when we called that. That's my firsthand knowledge. But the one that really piqued my interest for this area was a gentleman was riding on a road not far from where we were. It was a couple miles, about a 5-minute drive. And it was in daylight. Okay. And he was taking his sons to school. So, he was going to town, and he looked over, and there was a tall, I think he said, it was around 8 feet tall, all brown hair, matted, looked right at him, and they kept walking through the woods. And that was it. That was his sighting. It was nothing like, he didn't tear anything up or anything like that. He just was riding, taking his sons. All of a sudden they look over and they see this thing crossing the road, which in this area, you've got to remember that, it might be 30 minutes to 3 hours for cars to come by, so it's not a busy highway. And they came through, and sure enough, saw him walking through and just walk right up in the woods, and that was it.
Yeah, that seems to be like the typical Bigfoot story, is to just see him passing through.
That's it. That's why I always have a video camera with me. So that's why I never want the excuse that the batteries died, that the footage is blurry. I have deliberately bought 4K cameras with high resolution night vision just for that reason, so that if we ever do stumble upon something, I do not want the excuse that the footage is grainy, or I being from the tech side of it, that's why I always, every piece of equipment we take with us, I really try to stay ahead of that, just so if anybody sees it, they'll know that we're at least trying to capture good footage.
Oh, most definitely. So, leaning away from Bigfoot and Sasquatch, you said you also investigate UFOs. What kind of is it like? What kind of witness sightings have you done, or have you witnessed them yourself?
Yes. All right. So that was my introduction into, I don't know, I guess the sci-fi world was when I was 14. I was at a friend's house. That's I would say about 10 minutes from my parents. His house is closer to town, but still it's a small little town. You blink, it's got one stoplight, that type of town.
Right.
And we were in his backyard hanging out. This was before you had smartphones and everything else. So we were hanging out, and then we both, to this day, we know what we saw, and we were both honest people. But yeah, I saw a UFO. It hovered through his backyard. If you looked off to the mountains, it hovered. It had 6 lights. It hovered, swayed back and forth, and then all of a sudden it just took off. Like it was warp drive. And we both looked at each other, and I remember you can call him up right now and say, hey, what did you see that night? And it is an instant memory. So that was ever since then, I was just so interested in not only sci-fi, because on a side note, with my commercials that we do, small local car commercials,
right.
I even put Bigfoot and UFOs in them because I'm just so interested. I put ghosts in commercials, it's just my world now. And that was my introduction. But as far as for us investigating it, it's not, I would say we try to investigate areas that people say they saw stuff, but I mean, very, very few times is that even accurate because it's lights in the sky. But we do get responses from people that say they have been abducted, and some of them actually they have scars. One person I'm thinking of particular, he has an actual scar that doctors cannot explain, and so he has his thoughts about the whole situation. He's a completely sane person, nice guy, and so we get some of those that they were abducted, and some of them do have a scar, and it's like I don't know how I got it. And funny enough is that my wife, when we first met, we never really talked about paranormal, anything like that. She knew I love Star Trek, and I'm just a all around geek. But we start talking about the alien stuff.
Yeah. And
she herself has a story, so I never knew that until we start talking, and she was like, well, actually I have a story. And so it's so funny that, these subjects that, often people don't want to talk about, once you do find a person that respects and believes you and wants to hear your story, it's just amazing how many other people will start talking. And it's just like a floodgate. And that's what I love. I love that people tend to open up to us because we're not ridiculing or making fun or, hey, we want to know, we want to listen, we want to get your story in a great professional way out there. So if there's anybody else, maybe we could help. So, but for the alien stuff, we hear a lot of lights, but abductions, you'd be surprised.
I've heard different stories of the abductions and sightings and all types of stuff. So whenever you had your experience and you saw what you saw, what did it look like besides the lights? Was it like there's different types that I've heard about that's like round, or was it triangular in shape, or?
Yes, mine. What we saw, and again, I was a skeptic of everybody's stories for a long time until you have your own, and then you're like, okay, I understand why. It was at night, and so the lights I remember there were 6 lights, and they were all in a line. Okay, so as far as the shape goes, I would guess that it could have been anything. I mean, it could have been a triangle facing, parallel to the earth, or it could have been a disc shaped. In my mind, I kept picturing a disc because the way the lights looked, like, the front lights were more apparent than the side lights. And then the way it swayed, it was instantly, I wouldn't say an uncomfortable feeling. I would say you're kind of in shock. Like, you're like, wait, what am I seeing? That's not a plane. That's not anything that I've ever, I haven't seen anything like that in person. Like, and then we saw it sway. And when I say sway, I don't mean like within a couple of inches. So like it was hovering, and it was off in a distance. So I don't want to, make it sound like I could touch it, but it was off in a distance. But it was hovering, and then when it swayed, it was swaying like hundreds of feet, or maybe even miles up in the sky. I don't even know. So it was kind of like a clock, the clock swaying back and forth. And then at that point, my friend and I, like, oh my God, I think we're seeing it. Like, we're seeing a UFO. And that's exactly the feeling and what we were saying to each other. And then when it took off, it was one of those nights that just was like, we were just quiet. And then then my parents came and got me. We didn't say a word. It was just like, we witnessed something that a lot of people will never see, and a lot of people think do not exist. But it's like, I wish I could give you that feeling of what we saw when we saw it, because you would absolutely believe it, So it's like, for me, I picture it as a disc, and, I don't know about the stereotypical 1950s sci-fi, but I don't think people are far off. I really don't. Everything we see, I think it's pretty close. I think people have seen stuff, so I'm absolutely a believer of that.
Yeah, I am too. About 8 to 10 years ago, I don't remember the exact time frame, I actually had a personal UFO sighting, because I couldn't explain it. It was definitely bright, and at first I thought it was the International Space Station, because that's like bright and it moves pretty quick. But then it suddenly made a 90-degree angle and went straight up. And I'm like, nope, that's definitely not the ISS.
Yep. And it's like, when you're seeing it, like, it takes you a second. Like, you want, like, I think instantly people, you want to, put logic to it. You want to be, okay, that's this. I'm looking at this right now. But then when it's not, it just takes you a minute. So I can semi understand how when someone sees Bigfoot, they really don't know what they're looking at first, because even though you may, it's not that you don't believe in it. It just takes you a second because you've never seen it before. And then all of a sudden, like, what am I looking at? Wait, okay. Oh God, I'm having a sighting, and it takes your whole body a second to catch up. It's just this surreal feeling that I wish I could get back on, every case, but you don't. But that's why I approach whenever someone has a story. I just always love to listen, because, it gives me that feeling again.
Right. It would be like someone, like a caveman seeing a plane for the first time in the sky.
Exactly. That is the perfect way to say it. Yep. Exactly.
So, when you go out and investigate UFO sightings, is it just listening to people's stories, or do you try to go in the areas and see what they saw, or how do you go about doing that?
Yes, that we approach the same way as we do a Bigfoot sighting. We have, and I've actually taken an odd route to it, where it's actually gotten me into, I wouldn't say survival stuff, but like tactical gear. So I'm again coming from the sci-fi guy. Right. I had to start researching things like, well, what do I need in the woods? Because when we go into an abandoned house, our first few investigations, we just don't have a clue. And then all of a sudden you start getting this checklist of stuff. Well, we need walkie-talkies. We need a lot of flashlights. We probably should take some sort of weapon, so we approach those, the aliens and Bigfoot stuff, kind of the same. You just have to make sure you have a lot of good gear. And I always let people know where we're going, what time we think we'll be back. So if you don't hear from us, and then I have a bag full of walkie-talkies and hot spots and everything. Like, I try to go overboard with the communication thing, because I learned my lesson when we did the cemetery investigation and we started hearing that noise. I did not come prepared. I came prepared for a paranormal thing with night vision cameras and 2 flashlights, but that quickly turned into a the night vision was useful for like 2 feet in front of you, and then when the water puts off no light, so that was pitch black.
Right.
And then our we didn't have walkie-talkies, we had cell phones. Well, there was no cell phone service where we were at. So it's almost like, if from a logistics point of view, I really try to go overboard now and try to think, all right, we're going camping. I need everything. I need, a hatchet, this, that, this. So yeah, for the alien abduction and alien cases, we try to go to the site if it's fairly local, if where they saw lights. And there's some places that are absolutely, maybe government that, if they could be experimenting stuff. But first year we try to go to the spot, but most of the time it's listening to people and them honestly showing us and telling us their stories. And like if they have a scar, and some of these people have actually had doctors look at them and cannot explain the scar. And those are really just interesting stories to hear. And we try to do videos of all the people that will let us. Some people we don't,
right.
But yeah, most of those are talking. The Bigfoot ones, they're usually out in the woods and terrifying at times. So it's a good mix.
It sounds like it. Everything that you're saying sounds spot on. I wasn't expecting all this information. I was just expecting typical, when you think paranormal, everybody thinks ghost hunting, and this is like really exciting stuff. Well,
the funny part, I don't guess it's funny, but it's weird for us because, and just to give a little bit more background, I hope not to bore everybody, but I've owned again a small local video production company, and so when we us behind it, like my father's in my commercials, Jeremy, my neighbor who's on the team, is in my commercials. Heck, my wife has been in my commercials, and again we put Bigfoot. I have several commercials where Bigfoot is the marketing point. We have a huge costume. I've put a ghost in a heating and air commercial. I've put a UFO stealing a truck in a car commercial. So when people, you tell them paranormal, that was kind of the foundation for us starting Hill City Paranormal, an actual group, because we didn't want people to think we were just messing around with them. Because
right.
There's a line there where people will think that you're doing special effects, and we do that. We love to entertain. Don't get me wrong. We like people to watch and have fun, but that's why we formed the actual group, so that when we're doing the group, that's us. Like when you see, like I'm even on camera in my commercials, I'm never on camera. So when you see Hill City Paranormal videos, that's us being real. That's us having fun. That's us. We're not deliberately trying to do a production. So that was really what kind of made us, I don't know, in simple terms, put a logo to it, and just be like, okay, you see these videos, that's us being us. Now, our other productions with Bigfoot in it, they're for fun, and they're kind of for like people like that are fans. But the actual group itself, my gosh, it was like about a year ago? I think it was about a year ago. We were approached by the local Academy Center, which had just been renovated, and it's just a beautiful place now. I mean, it's just a gorgeous. And we've been doing the video work for them. We've been filming their concerts and people coming in. It's been wonderful. And so they knew that we were into the paranormal things and that we did kind of fun stuff. And they asked us, they said, would you do an investigation of the Academy? And then could we turn that footage into a haunted tour? So that was the opportunity that I took. I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. I want to do it as our group, though, so that people don't think when they buy tickets to the tour that it's just like a small production company making a short film,
right?
So that was actually the point in which a name became official, the logo, and the way, like we actually put a face to it, so that people, when they were purchasing tickets for this one event, that they knew that, okay, this is actually a group doing an investigation. We can kind of follow them. And then, so we've just kind of, that was I wouldn't say our launching point, because we've been doing it way before then, but that's the first official look to it where we put a name to it.
That is awesome. Seeing as the first half of the show is just about done, I guess we can go into the you know what most people think, typical paranormal stuff. The
Yeah.
ghosts and spirits. And so what kind of different places do you usually typically visit? Is it like residential, or do you go to like the more famous places like, I don't know around what's in your area, so like uh, uh, I can't even throw out an example.
It's yeah. Well, it's so. What's funny in this, I think I would be interested to know how other investigators view this and how they get a response. Most businesses are very, very leery of us coming in. We were really extremely blessed to have the academy reach out to us, and then we love working with them because their staff had legitimately had experiences. Well, because the building was built in like I think 1905, and there was a huge fire there in 1911. Then it got rebuilt. Then it went abandoned for a while, and then it was being renovated for the last couple of years, and this past year was when it officially opened. And the staff had, I mean, I'm talking hundreds of stories about doors closing behind them, noises, everything else. But no one knew of anything that happened there that would cause that. So we were like, that for us was a great opportunity. One, because it's a Lynchburg landmark and it's a gorgeous place. But two, when we were in there, it was like we had filmed events there. Like, when they packed the house, it's got a great vibe. But they let us have the building overnight. Okay, so they said there's no events these 2 days. So if you can come at 6:00 the night before, you can stay as long as you want to. You can leave the next morning if you want. So we took them up on that, which they never do. They never let anybody do that. So we were absolutely, let's do it. So we went in at I think it was like, I don't know, it was late afternoon. And that is probably the most intense feeling I've ever had in a building. And I wouldn't say it was bad. And I'll tell you a story about what we found out after. Okay. But it was just a feeling of it was just this enormous space. We heard, I can't even tell you the amount of noises that we heard in there. And again, we are all about the video evidence, right? That's our thing. Like we steer clear, and everybody has different methods. Every paranormal group has a different method, and we respect every method, and each one has their own different way. But we prefer to rely on videos and feelings and just what we see. Like we don't try to talk. We don't do grids or spirit boxes or anything like that. We go in, we set up cameras, we just look and listen, and then we see what we can get. And that was one of the few times where I just was like, okay, I'm ready to go. Like after a while, and then so we packed up our cameras and we did the events, and they were wonderful. The haunted tours, they did really well for them. And then we had a booth out in the lobby where people would come out after they went on the tour, and the people were sharing stories, and just a wonderful experience. It wasn't at all like, terrifying. I would call it spooky, where we showed our footage of the investigation and added a couple of theatrics in the tour to amp it up, and then they had a performance. But come to find out, after, what was it? It was actually just a few weeks ago, we got a call from the director there. They said they did some digging, and this is after the tours have wrapped, and we've done our investigation, and everybody was happy, and we all had a great time, and we'll do it again. They found out that there had been a person killed in the theater around the time it was rebuilt. One of the stage weights, when the curtains are drawn and everything, one of the stage weights had fallen on a guy and broke his neck. And we had no clue about that going into the investigation. And so to bring it full circle about how just different people have different experiences, during the tours, we had a lady come up to us after the tour and tell us, she said, I had a really intense feeling on the tour about a male spirit that was not happy all these people were in here. And we were like, well, we never, in our we in our stuff, we never saw that. But again, like, each person has a different experience. And then come to find out a couple of weeks later, a person had died there. So, I mean, you never know. Like, people come through and have different vibes. I may not have ever seen anything, but the person standing next to me has had an experience. So that one, I would say, for landmarks in Lynchburg, that's been wonderful. But to get back to the what other paranormal groups, I'd like to know what they go through. We do a lot of residential places. That is because people, I think they want answers. They want to know if it's this or that. But businesses, they're kind of leery. I don't know. We haven't had much luck. We've had a few that are open to it, but they always want to basically review the footage after. And then if it's like, if you do find something, that some of them don't want it to get out because it'll hurt business. And then some of them embrace it. Like the Academy, they love it. They love history, so it just goes, but a lot of residential, I would say.
Okay. So you said that you do mostly or all of the video, or is there audio with that? Do you review audio or anything like that?
Yes, I have all of our cameras have night vision on them, and we have the infrared lights on top. And one camera specifically, we have rigged with an audio recorder and a couple of good mics, like video production mics. So we try to really capture, again, like, if we're going to get audio, we want video with it.
Right.
That's always like our foundation. We want to see something, like we got to see it. So yeah, we put audio with it. We have for the Academy, when we went all out, like, I think we had like 10 GoPros through the whole building with, they were all rigged with infrared. And that was pretty cool. That was really helpful. And the audio helped us too, because again, we had like the audio on some of the cameras, and we were upstairs and we would hear a door shut downstairs, and then on the camera. So we were hearing some things in the camera, which was really nice. I do have some new gear coming. I have a thermal camera coming. I have we use a drone when we need to, but again, that's mostly for Bigfoot. But for paranormal, honestly, I do have an EMF reader that I use occasionally just to see if maybe it's like the electrical conduit that might be causing something.
Yeah.
But other than that, as far as paranormal gear, I just go all video, night vision. I try to, and I'm getting into thermal. I'd like to see where that goes. And that's actually coming this week. So hopefully we'll get a call and I can use that.
That's awesome. I'd like to see some of that footage.
Absolutely. I'd love to. I can't wait to go Bigfoot hunting with the thermal camera. I may never go again after. I don't know. It might cure me. I might never go. So we'll see.
Right. So what kind of audio and video evidence have you collected since doing your investigations? Anything? I would say
video evidence we've gotten in the Academy specifically. We got a lot of doors open and closing by themselves. That was the most common thing. And of course, and again, like on our group, Jeremy specifically, he's the biggest skeptic. He is former Army guy that, he has a reason for everything. So he is wonderful to have on the group because, I might be on level 10 amping myself up. And he's like, no, it's the wind from this door to that door, so we try to balance each other out. But for like hard evidence, we've gotten doors that I really can't explain. Like I really don't. I don't know how that one opened because it was really heavy. So that seeing that footage was that was really cool. As far as like the Staten house, which was the abandoned house, we saw like some fog that kind of drifted in the frame in front of the house all of a sudden. But other than that, we didn't really get any audio stuff. The Academy, we got a lot that could be seen as voices or, doors and stuff. So yeah, the Academy was pretty interesting. That one we got quite a bit that you could kind of nitpick, and if somebody wanted to, they could go through it and, but for the tour, we kind of scaled it back and did some fun stuff with it. But yeah, evidence. I'd say some stuff opening. That was all I needed to hear. That, and then I was ready to go after that. So
Oh, most definitely, because I mean that would freak me out. So, have you ever went into a place where, uh, like, it wasn't dangerous to your life, but that it ever just freaked you out enough to where you was like, I just got to get out of here?
well, and I'm the thing with especially my wife and I, when we, especially the paranormal stuff, she's had some very intense experiences, and we're both Christians, and so we go into things now where if we have a heavy feeling, we really almost try to stay clear because as much as I may not have seen anything, I respect what people have seen and feel. So it's like for those, there was one call we got that right off the bat, you could tell it was heavy, and it had a lot of weight to it. That's the only way I can put it. And that was one where I think, and again, different groups have different methods.
Right.
Now, a different group may have gotten that call and they could jump at the chance and they can do their method and do their thing. But for me, in my kind of worldview and my beliefs, it just felt off to me. And so we just didn't do it, because I knew from the phone call itself. And my wife is very, very in tune because of the experiences that she has had. So when she looks at me and she's like, I'm going to stand right here, I already know that I'm going to be careful, So as far as freaking out, I try not to let myself even get into a situation that I would, but from a like an exploration standpoint, that the cemetery one freaked me out just for the fact that I might have a Bigfoot or a coyote or a bear chasing me. That
Right.
was enough. As far as paranormal, I have not yet, but I think that's because I try to guard us from being in that situation. So hopefully, I don't know. I'll let you know if it happens. That I may have stumbled into something that I wish I hadn't, but I really try to lean on my beliefs for that as much as I can. And then honestly, we have another group that we, for those cases, I try to refer because that's his method. He will go in and try to communicate. That's just not mine. So if there's a case that I feel like the family, they need somebody, then I'll refer them to somebody that maybe can help them or that is willing to do that.
Okay. So, with your experience, I've been talking with a bunch of different investigators lately, and it's like, I think it's like controversial with some, and with some it's not. A lot of them say, "Oh, yeah, that we've been in places where it's demonic," or we've had people on the show that say that no, we very rarely run into anything that's evil like that. It's mostly the ghosts and spirits are like 99% used to be human, or it's residual energy. What kind of different things have you ran into that, or what kind of stuff do you investigate that could be one way or the other?
Yeah, well, I think, and again, like I love to be proven wrong. I love different viewpoints, and that's the great thing that I'm discovering about the paranormal community is that everybody's different. Everybody, has a different, ideas and everything. But for me, I believe that you need to be careful because if you're not prepared, you could open up something that maybe you're not ready for, or that could cling on to you. And I think that there are places that absolutely have negative energy. I think that would be hard to dispute, because if you go to like a place like Gettysburg, or a place where war happened, a legitimate, a high casualty war, you can walk on the ground and feel the weight. You can feel it. Like you can walk out and you feel sad. and I don't see how that's any different than walking into a house where someone was killed, or walking into a place where something super bad happened. And then all of a sudden it's like, you feel that energy. So I think there could be something. I try not to, but again, like, I respect other people's beliefs. Just because I have a viewpoint doesn't mean, because again, my wife has had several experiences, and she does not lie. I believe her 100%. But I think there are places that you go into that some bad stuff may have happened, and you can feel it. And it's just like if you go into a home where there was love, or that a person died peacefully. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
You can feel it. Like, we're Disney fans. Like, we love the Haunted Mansion, so like,
Oh, yeah.
I am, so do I think energy exists? Absolutely. I think you can confirm that on any war ground or whatever. But yeah, I think as far as ghosts, I try not to think of it as my grandfather maybe coming back, walking around, because again, my belief's that you die, you go to heaven or hell. But now, could it be a demon? I think so. Yes. I mean, so for me, yeah, that's why I really don't poke a bear. You know what I'm trying to say? I don't want the bear to come after me. I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's ready for that.
No, I'm not looking to open up a portal to another dimension or anything. So I'm good.
Oh, so I know a lot of places that's more, famous, like Gettysburg, or like some of the more famous places, like, I don't know, Bobby Mackey's from like Ghost Adventures. People go into them all the time, and they're trying to get responses, but sometimes they like antagonize them or provoke them. What's your opinion on things like that? Do you think that maybe it might like make the energy or spirits that's there more aggressive, or do you think that it makes them like shy away from like giving responses, or what's your opinion on that?
I think if you're not careful with something like that, if you're not careful and you're going into, and that's why really we don't try to communicate with anything. We just don't do that, because I feel like if you do, and as I don't know how this will sound coming off, but like if your heart's not in the right place, your mind's not in the right place, your soul's not in the right place, I feel like you can have something latch on to you. And I think you need to be careful. And I think that a lot of it's for show. I think when people go into places and they yell at things, and you're trying to poke a bear in a way. And I think for me, that's why I steer clear of that, because just because I have not seen a shadow person in the corner,
right?
I'm not going to go in the building and start yelling. And then, then what am I going to do if I see one? So it's like, so I don't, I guess my beliefs kind of ground me in a way where I don't go down that road. But I know that there are groups, and then there's like, 100 TV shows where they go in and communicate. And for me, that's just not me. That's not something that I am just so interested in, that I believe that it's my grandmother telling me, but again, I don't dispute anybody that does. I don't disagree with them. I mean, I disagree, but I don't, disrespect them. But for me, I don't know. I think you can feel the energy. I don't think you should go, you just need to be careful going into a place trying to awaken something, because I mean, I think you could, but I think a lot of it's for show. And, I don't think you're going to wake up anything in like Bobby Mackey's place. I mean, I think some bad things happen there in the basement, and I think that when you walk down there, you're absolutely going to feel a negative energy. I think you're going to feel that, and that should be enough. Like I don't want to open myself up to anything else. I don't want anything following me home, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. So with all the different places that you've investigated, it sounds like you've investigated quite a few places. What would have to be your most favorite place that you've ever investigated?
Oh gosh, I would say, I would have to say for right now, the Academy. Because one, when you walk in, it is just, because they remodeled this place as a replica of what it looked like in 1912. So for us, that whole experience was, one, an honor that we were even asked. Two, that we were given an opportunity no one else has been given, and that they were going to turn this into haunted history tours, where they would give people the history about the fire and show our investigation. And it ran all the month of October, not every Wednesday for two tours, and it was sold out, and it was just fantastic. So of all that, I would say that was the one was so excited for and proud of. But honestly, like, even there's another one we did with the Staten House. My father initiated that investigation. They had experiences going down the road there, and he stopped and talked to the owner and got us permission. And I love those because we just kind of had fun. We went out, we had pizza that night. We just kind of had fun, and we poked around and did this and did that. So, but I would say the Academy so far has just been that's the biggest one. And that's the one that, kind of really stands out, because that kind of opened the door for us and got people talking and people visiting the website. And now we have just relationships and people sharing their stories that they've had, even while on the tour. Like, that one lady came up to us right after, and she had an experience walking on the tour. And it just, that was like, we're so glad that there's an avenue where these people can talk, and they don't feel ashamed, or that, like it's an, okay, I can talk to you about it and you can take me seriously. And so, that one I love, but we do have a few lined up. Our city hall, they want that investigated, which is a pretty big deal for us anyway, that the worker says she has absolutely seen things. There's a couple of museums that we want to do. But again, that, people are kind of leery, because if you do find something, you don't know how the public will react to it. But I would say the Academy, long answer for your question, the Academy so far has been a pretty good one.
That's awesome. So have you gotten, I'm guessing you've got, let's see, you say you do videos, so I'm guessing YouTube?
Yes, I try to put everything that we can on our website, and I have links to the YouTube channel on there. But if you go to hillcityparanormal.com, I've got our biggest investigations on there, some clips of other stuff, and we're working on a couple more things that I'm going to put up there, like the alien abduction interviews. That's going on there. So a lot of it, you'll see some clips and a couple of our investigations, and you'll know pretty quickly our vibe, and especially the Staten House, you'll know our style. But if you go to the website, I got them all on there, and there are several more to come. And we have a cool podcast that we, again, my wife and I are Disney fans, so we love Haunted Mansion. We love that world, the Addams Family. So in our podcast, if you listen to that, we go from, I have a haunted hotline where people can call and leave their stories, and then I edited them, add some cool music. And then I have interviews about our investigations. And then I actually have, since I love to produce and entertain, I have actual fiction stories called Tales from the Beyond in there that we write from some of our experiences, and we embellish a little bit, just a heads up. But we add some theatrics, like we add sound effects and stuff like that. So, it's just like this whole world that just I love. So I hope people will visit and look at our videos, and, absolutely, if you think we're, you want to give us some advice or whatever, email me. I'm open to anything.
Okay. So we are actually coming up on the end of the show. So how can people contact you? What's your website, or if you want to, like, your email, or just how can they contact you and view your videos? And
Sure. The best way would be, our hub is our website, and that's hillcityparanormal.com. And on there, again, you'll find our video, most of our videos that are being put up. You'll also see the phone number that you can call if you have a story and you want that on our podcast, and you'll see the link to our podcast on there, where it's just a kind of a fun vibe to it. And you can contact us. I have our email, hillcityparanormal@gmail.com on there. So that's the main hub. You got questions, want to see videos, just visit that. And I think I have everything on there. So that's the main place.
That is awesome. So I've had a wonderful time. I mean, this is I think this is one of the better shows that I've had with you on.
Well, thank you, man. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I appreciate you reaching out, and this has been fun.
It has been. Hopefully we can have you on in the future, like if you do any more investigations, tell them about your investigations and things like that.
I'd be honored. I'd love to. Anytime.
All right. So I guess I'll end it there, and you have a good night.
All right, James. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Be sure to check out our website at hillcityparanormal.com. And thank you for listening.